Good morning, y'all. Not morning where you are? Okay, it doesn't look like it, but technically it is here since it's a little after midnight. Uh, and welcome to our two-way republic. So, wanted to talk a little bit about, well, pistol optics. These guys are so much fun, and of course, they require a little bit more training for some of us old dogs that have gotten used to years and years of iron sights. Uh, it's a little bit different aiming with them. Of course, iron sights you line up the front and rear sights equal height, equal light, and you uh, put your front sight post at the center of the target, and you want to blur out the rear sight and blur out the target and focus on your front sight. Well, this is a lot different game. With dot optics, you don't want to focus on the dot itself, which, again, old dogs like me, it's really hard to learn that new trick. Um, I'm still trying and working on it and trying to get my focus off of the dot and onto my target and simply superimpose the dot onto the target. The idea, of course, behind the red dot is fast acquisition. So if I want it quick, red dot. If I want it accurate, I'm going to my iron sight because that's what I know and that's what I can pinpoint with. Newer shooters that aren't so used to shooting with iron sights pick this up super quick. Little fuckers. Of course, a lot of different uh, pistol sights out there. We have, of course, the old traditional here. Um, but then, of course, they've got these new, really cool closed emitters that they're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit heavier. Um, for people like me that I do carry concealed 5 days a week, I carry open 2 days a week. So having that closed emitter really, I don't think would pose uh, a lot of obstacles for me and for the weight that I carry. If anything, it might help me to carry a little better concealed, having more of the firearm pressed up against the body, maybe help out with printing. Not sure because I don't have one, so I can't test that theory, but what the hell. So on to, of course, the first thing you need to know is what pistol you're going to be putting the optic on. What's the footprint? And oh my God, are there footprints and are they confusing as hell? And some of these guns take 100 different plates, and it can be a huge pain in the ass getting into it. So you really got to do your homework on this. Figure out again what's the footprint of the gun, what's the footprint on the optics that you're looking at. Um, it can be trying, believe me. I actually fucked this up my first time out, and that's how I got this cute little Vortex Viper, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And I was fitting him for and we're going to show clear. There. All right. Happy. Shut up. So this is the Canik Mate SFX. You've seen it on this channel before, if you're watching. Uh, Now the funny thing with the Canik Mate is to be such a big gun. I mean, this is a 5.2 inch barrel. This is a 20 round standard magazine capacity. It also comes with an 18 round, but this is a full size gun, and to come with such a little bitty optics mount, it was a task finding something that would actually fit this. Of course, Canik makes their own optic, the Mechanic. Not sure how they came up with that. Stroke of genius, if you ask me. Um, but inevitably, I ended up with uh, this is the uh, Swamp Fox, and I got to tell you, this little bitty Sentinel. Just little bitty box. He's a great little guy. He is a little bitty guy, but I'm here to tell you, I am such a fan of this guy. So, small window, as you can see, and yes, I know I'm aiming it right at myself. If you can't take that, there we go. Hey, put it up against that purple shirt. That works great. Okay, so this is a 3 MOA dot. He has 8 brightness settings plus 2 infrared settings. Pretty cool. He's got a total of around 50,000 hours, realistically about 2 years battery life. And most of these optics take a 2032 watch battery, a C2032. Pretty standard across most of them. So again, he's really small, really short, and I really kind of worried about, am I even going to be able to pick this guy up? Am I going to be able to find him? And lo and behold, he is actually super easy to find that dot. I mean, if you can practice, which you should be, practicing drawing, practicing pressing out and finding your iron sights. If you can find your iron sights, you can find your red dot. And if you continue to train looking for that red dot pressing out, you can press out straight to your dot and have it right on target when you need it. And that's the idea of it, isn't it? Yes, it is. So, again, practice, practice, practice. Dry fire, aiming, drawing, reholstering. Reholstering, very, very important. Way too many negligent discharges from people actually reholstering their weapon more so than having it out and playing with it. Dry fire, all that sort of thing. So again, 3 MOA dot. He's actually really good. Auto on, auto shut off, and I really do like that shake awake capacity of him. Like him so much so that when another family member got into firearms, she has a subcompact. It's a little Glock 48 MOS and small footprint. So guess what she got to go on it? Great sight. Absolutely wonderful. Loving. So then I went to my carry pistol. And this is, again, you've seen him on the channel before. This is the Shadow Systems MR920L. 15 round standard capacity plus 1. Let's not forget that 1, very important. And we're going to, again, show clear. Here. See, clear, nothing in it. We're good to go. In there. Don't read into that. So I started out with him. I started out with this Vortex Viper. Now, there were a couple of things that I really didn't like about the Viper. So again, you're looking at a little bit bigger. The Swamp Fox is an RMS C footprint, very small. Now, this guy's a Doctor footprint. And where they came up with the names of some of these, I have no idea. Doctor Noblex footprint. But I found a couple of drawbacks. So, really clear. Dot shows up super well. It's 6 MOA, so a little bit bigger than what I personally like. Maybe for a rifle optic, I don't know. But maybe what I try them out on next. Maybe a shotgun. We'll see. Stay tuned. One of my issues with this guy was, of course, there's no shake awake. There's no auto on. There is an auto off, or you can manually turn him off by holding the down adjustment button for 5 seconds. Automatically shut off. Of course, you have to hit the up adjust button to turn him on. Now, if you're trying to quickly draw and acquire a target, you probably don't want to have to hit the on switch. Just putting that out there. but they don't have an option for otherwise. So that presented one issue. The other issue was, of course, with my shadow systems, you remove the mount plate, you still retain your rear sight. Great, awesome, love it. Want to be able to co-witness because dots are what? They're electronics. What do electronics tend to do from time to time? They go down, and if they go down, I want to be able to see what the fuck I'm shooting at. So, sight's very important. But in order to adjust this guy, you have these two little lock cues on the back. So you actually have to put your tool in, you have to unlock it, you have to adjust it, you have to relock it. See where I'm going with this? Iron sights on the back of the pistol, optic on the back of the pistol. What do you have to do to adjust this? You have to keep taking it on and off. Every time you go to adjust it, you have to remove the optic from the pistol, unlock, adjust, lock, reinstall, shoot, and take it off, unlock it, adjust, lock it, put it back on, shoot, hope that you're on target so that you don't have to, you guessed it, take it off, unlock it, readjust it, lock it, and reinstall it. This was a huge pain in the ass. Believe me, it was a pain in the ass. So inevitably, because of those two things, at the end of the day, I decided that I was not going to use it for my carry optic. Sorry, Vortex. A great name in the industry, well known, make really great stuff, really durable, but too many drawbacks for me to overlook. So what I inevitably, and you'll forgive the just general sinuses, I'm not sick, I'm not going to die. The boogie virus ain't getting me today. I inevitably ended up going with the Viridian RFX 35. So this is an RMR footprint, okay? Thank you, Trijicon. And this is a great optic. It's available in a green dot, which is something else that doing my research, doing my homework, I wanted to try. And right there he is. Beautiful, beautiful green dot on him. Very big window. I was a little worried at first about carrying something this big, but you know what? Carries just fine, conceals just fine, never even know he's there. Take my little cloth that I have here somewhere, yep. And guys, if you're carrying with an optic, wipe your optic off. Yeah, once in a while, it is going to get dirt. It's going to get lint from rubbing it up against your body, rubbing up against your clothes. So first thing I do every morning, I wipe this guy off, and hell, I'll end up doing it 2 or 3 more times every day. But just want to make sure my optic's clear so that when I need it, it is there. He's got a really great auto on. He's got a really great auto off. Again, 8 daytime brightness settings, 2 infrared. And he has really, really proven himself. One thing you want is when you need it, it is there. And he has been there. He's been there at the range, really easy to find. And actually the purpose, my main goal with going with a green dot, you may have heard this from me before, you may not have. If you haven't, welcome to it. Of course, the 2 ends of the light spectrum, blue, red, green right there in the middle. Blue and red are actually much harder for the human eye to pick up. Green, the human eye actually sees much better and much clearer. And that is one thing, particularly with astigmatism, that I have found to be true. I get far less starburst off of this green optic than I do with, if I can find myself, there I am. I was about to say I'm there somewhere, shit. Than I can with this red dot optic. I get a lot less starburst, which means I can be a lot more accurate because I'm not having to chase and figure out which trail leads to where. Um, so, yeah, that's me. Now, different things to consider. Of course, I would have kind of preferred one with a top load battery, but when you look at, yes, you have to take it off, and then you've got to, everybody says readjust, but honestly, check your zero, make sure your zero hasn't changed. If it has, then yeah, adjust it a little bit. Shouldn't be that much. Um, but there's also some that side load, and I kind of looked at that. The issue I have with those is with the side loads, the base tends to come up a little bit higher, of course, because you've got to have enough room for a battery compartment in the side of it and slide it in, slide it out. They tend to have a little bit less battery life. Don't ask me why. But again, they stand a little bit taller, so it's going to make them a lot harder to co-witness, unless, of course, you're changing out your sights for suppressor height, which, if you're doing that, hey, good on you. And damn you for having a suppressor and I don't. Maybe one day when I don't have to register the fucking thing with a crooked ass ATF. Yeah, boys, you can go ahead and investigate me. I said it. Fuck you. This again is 3 ohm away, which for me just turns out to be really perfect. Now there is an option for a couple of these guys, the Swamp Fox Sentinel in particular. There are 2 different versions of it. There's an automatic version, there's a manual version. I went with the manual version just because I don't need my optic telling me what the optimal brightness is. That's not up to the optic, that's up to me. And one thing that I do find with things that adjust automatically, same reason I turn that shit off on my phone, is my phone thinks that the lighting is perfect and I think I can't see my fucking screen. Last thing I need is for my optic to make that same mistake. Some of them adjust quickly, some of them adjust more slowly, so there's that kind of issue too. So really at the end of the day, you've got to figure out, what will my gun take? What am I looking for in an optic? What am I willing to do? Am I looking for a closed emitter? Am I looking for a green dot, red dot? And a lot of them are switching off to green dots now, or at least making it an option. It is something to look into. You should give it a shot. Is it going to be easy to adjust if I need to adjust it? Am I able to co-witness with this optic? Some have got a built-in rear sight integrated there. So just depends on a lot of things. But that's why we, as responsible gun owners, know to do our frigging homework and then train with your equipment. Train with your firearm. Train with your lights. Train with your optics. Train with your holsters. When you think you've trained enough, you haven't, so go back and train some more. Hopefully this has been at least somewhat, well, probably not all that entertaining, but at least a little bit informational. So, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, tell all your friends about me, or don't, see if I care. Actually, I do, so tell all your friends. So until next time, have a good night, or day, whatever.